Mr. Johnson, can you hear me? Mr. Johnson, we're going to go in proper order. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
What changed?
Mr. Johnson, can you hear me?
And I would just ask our witness and the Lieutenant Governor from North Carolina if you could help me understand. Was the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution passed and moved by Republicans or Democrats? Right. And was the movement to put your microphone on, sir?
That would be Republicans.
Was the move for the 64 Civil Rights Act and 65 Voting Rights Act led heavily by Republicans or Democrats?
That would be Republicans.
And so as we sit here today, and as we're being accused by many of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle of wanting to somehow perpetuate the Jim Crow South, when in fact what we're trying to do is perpetuate laws that you can believe in, that you've so eloquently discussed, do you see any merit in that whatsoever?
Absolutely not. And just if I have a moment just to add something. You know, when you talk about that history is clear. Who stood on which side at every turn in history. It is clear. It's not even in dispute. And it's not in dispute now. What we want is integrity. We don't want power. We want integrity. We want the right thing to be done. We want to encourage citizens to be responsible. We want to have the best election system in the world. In the world. Third world countries, places like India where the poverty rate is staggering, they have to show that finger when they go vote. It's time that we modernize our election system in this country and stop playing all these silly games based on race. And please, stop using me as a black man as your pawn. And yes, I said it, to push your agenda. I'm sick of it. It happened a long time ago in this country, and I'm tired.
Chairman, I would ask that the witness answer the question. His time has expired.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I should have a unanimous consent request to insert something in the record.
Unanimous consent to insert something in the record.
Consent request.
5 minutes, Mr. Johnson.
You've already said that we could enter that in the record. You said it in your opening, Mr. Chairman. What changed?
Mr. Johnson, can you hear me?
So we're not going to insert something in the record?
So Republicans
recognized
can't
for
enter
5
anything
minutes.
in the record? I'm
So
just
the
need
chairman
clarification.
doesn't want us to be able to insert stuff in the record?
Maybe in a few minutes, but not right now.
Oh, because when I had my time closing, I didn't want to insert it at the time inserted when I spoke.
Mr. Johnson, we're going to go in proper order. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, this is a great way to run a hearing. Impressive.
What's wrong?
The soft bigotry of low expectation of 1990s has now evolved in 2021 to hardcore racism. We now have elected officials, black and white, who have no shame that will state that being black, if you're black and poor, you're incapable of doing what every other American does to function and progress. Simply, if you're black and poor, progress, success, travel, education, a bank account, visiting this body is not for you. Lieutenant Governor Robinson, today's Democratic Party wants us to believe that your mother's journey from poverty to a son now sitting as a national leader is impossible. They want us to believe that my grandfather's journey from poverty to his son in 1950, getting a PhD, is impossible. Hardcore racism is very simply this. It seems that the Democratic Party thinks it's impossible for poor and black people to get an ID for voting, but it is not even questionable to get a welfare check or public assistance. I think the next hearing should probably deal with considering welfare IDs as Jim Crow. Lieutenant Governor Robinson, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution poll found that 63% of black respondents agreed with requiring voter ID. Why do you think Democrats allege that it's so difficult for black people to get an ID that will suppress their vote?
Microphone. Microphone, Lieutenant Governor. Your microphone.
Sorry. I'll repeat my prior statement. As a Republican, I can't speak for how Democrats think, so I can't actually answer that question. But I can tell you this, for me, what it all boils down to is responsibility. You mentioned something that people often say, the soft bigotry of low expectation. I no longer call that soft bigotry. I call that the hard bigotry of low expectation. I'll go back to my mom. You referred to folks in your past. The way I saw my mom succeed was to be responsible. My mom did not wait on the federal government to feed her children. My mom had a 5th grade education. When my father died, she'd never worked outside the house. She got a job as a custodian to take care of her children. I look at my own life. The more responsible I became as a young man, the more successful I became as a young man. And so I would say this, I can't say how anyone else thinks, but certainly for myself and my party, I believe we all believe it's about responsibility. And ultimately, responsibility drives freedom. Responsibility drives excellence. And I believe in when you talk about voter integrity, you talk about our voting laws and our voting system, responsibility will drive us towards a perfect or nearly perfect voting system where any question of fraud can be purged, and whoever wins, wins fairly.
Lieutenant Governor Robinson, thank you for your life, your message. It's a message that all Americans need to hear, particularly our race at this particular time. So thank you so much for that. I want to yield my remaining time to the gentleman from North Carolina.
I thank the gentleman